Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, yes, I'm still camping. I'm extremely excited because today is a lot warmer than yesterday. We had a lot of thunderstorms and stuff last night. The weather wasn't that great. But today, you can see there's no rain, the sun is trying to come out. And I'm not in a winter coat today. It's a very warm day out. But enough about me, you're probably here for the news. So we'll start out by talking about Nintendo. And Nintendo has confirmed Switch 2 pre-orders in Canada and the US will resume on April 24th. So if you're in line for a Switch 2 pre-order, you may want to pay attention to April 24th because I think that's going to be a very important date. Nintendo has said they're not raising prices on the console yet. Now the reason I say yet is because the prices are not going to be changing at launch. The quote here is at launch. So we'll have to wait and see on that one because if tariffs are in effect and things become increasingly expensive, I can absolutely see Nintendo raising prices. It makes me wonder too if scalpers are going to take advantage of this early pre-order to try to get their hands on a whole bunch of them, more so than normal. And who knows here, maybe they'll hold on to the Switch 2 and wait for the price increase, if there is a price increase because of the tariffs, to try to increase the profit margin. I don't know about that theory, but I do think scalping with the Switch 2 is going to be way more rampant than normal. Scalping is a problem with console releases in general. But I would say with the Switch 2, with the current economic conditions, the current market conditions, the current global conditions, I'll say, yeah, the Switch 2 is probably going to be scalped pretty heavily. I could be wrong about that one, but I really don't think so. And on top of that, in terms of, I would say, Switch 2 and pricing and all of that, it turns out that Switch 2 accessories, certain accessories, are going up $5. So at a high level here, the Joy-Cons are going up $5, or the Joy-Con 2s. They're going up to $95 overall. The Switch 2 Pro controller is going up to $85, and the Switch 2 camera is going up to $55. So that's a $5 price increase for 3 different accessories, with more accessories possibly on the way receiving price increases. I mean, the official quote here from Nintendo is other adjustments to the price of any Nintendo product are possible in the future depending on market conditions, which I think is a statement pretty much any company would make out there. But I don't know here, let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments below. Let me know if you're interested in pre-ordering a Switch 2. And let me know your thoughts about the Switch 2 in general. I know there's been a whole lot of negative press out there. I'm doing my best to remain unbiased, but I mean, there's a lot of negative news out there. I'm just reporting what people are talking about, what is popular, and what seems to be dominating the discussions. But moving on from that, and next up, we're still talking about Nintendo. In fact, we're talking about Nintendo versus Pocket Pair, Nintendo versus Palworld. And it seems that Pocket Pair has filed a pretty big response to Nintendo's claim on patent infringement. Now, I've seen a number of articles on the subject, and I think Gamerant here does a really good job of summing things up. So like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources, and I do recommend checking out those sources if you wanted to learn more about anything we're talking about. So based on everything I've seen and read, the way I understand it is that Palworld has a 2-step defense. So the first step is a big one. They're arguing that all patents are invalid. And then the second one here, if that one fails, is non-infringement. So the first argument here is invalidity, and Video Game Esoterica had a video on the exact subject here, and Palworld is taking up that argument of prior art. Palworld is citing their own game as well as a bunch of others. So the first patent they're trying to bust here is the patent that describes a system for capturing creatures and releasing creatures into battle. Pocket Pair is arguing that their previous game Craftopia, combined with some other elements, could easily defeat this. And they're also citing that Titanfall 2, Far Cry 5, Tomb Raider, and Octopath Traveler, among other titles, have systems that overlap with that patent, which I find very interesting. The second patent, which describes a system for aiming a capture item and calculating creature capture chances, is already in production. It's already in existence. And it's a mod for Dark Souls 3 called Pocket Souls. Now, I don't know about you, but I would say that's a pretty big win for modding, but there's even more. So they're saying here that the Fallout 4 mod Nukamon, Monster Super League, or Nexomon would have been enough to arrive at mechanics similar to those in Palworld. So prior art is pretty big on both of these so far, and there's a third one. So the third patent here, which describes a system for switching rideable objects, such as pals or Pokemon on the fly. and Pocket Pair points to Arc, which already has a very similar mechanic. Now, based on my understanding, if the courts see it in Pocket Pair's favor, then Nintendo's patents will be rendered invalid and just thrown out, and there goes the lawsuit. If that's not the case, Pocket Pair is going to be arguing non-infringement, which I haven't seen the documents for, so I'm not quite sure what that argument is going to be. But I would say this initial argument is very strong. But let me know your thoughts about this one. We'll have to wait and see here as to what's going to happen. I would say, based on my limited legal understanding, I'm not a legal expert, I would say that Pocket Pair appears to have a pretty darn strong case. But I'm not sure about courts in Japan, and they also have the lawsuit in the States too, so I'm curious to see what happens there. But overall here, I'm thinking that Palworld is going to win this. But moving on, and still talking about Nintendo, and I guess still talking about lawsuits. Kind of, I don't know. Anyways, here it's being reported that Nintendo is seeking to subpoena Discord. The whole reason of this is the Pokemon leaks. So Oatmeal Dome has come in clutch with a tweet here, and they say that Nintendo is seeking to subpoena Discord. They are looking for any information that can help identify the Game Freak leaker. The Discord user Game Freakout has been leaking a significant amount of content from Game Freak's internal servers. I'm kind of curious to see how this one pans out. Based on my previous understanding, Discord seems pretty against providing user information. They seem to want to stand up for their users, but who knows here, because this is Nintendo and this may be a pretty big lawsuit. For more information on the matter, if you wanted to read up on Discord and some of the previous stances, I'll drop a link to this Verge article in the description below, where they stood up for their users, saying First Amendment rights protect them from this kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily know if this will be the case here with Nintendo or anything like that. Again, I'm not a legal expert, and this is not legal advice or anything like that. But I guess just let me know your thoughts. But moving on, and next up here, it's starting to get dark. I hope it's not going to rain. Anyways, here next up, we're talking about Mesa Turnip Drivers. So if you've got an Android device with a Snapdragon CPU that has an Adreno CPU, you might be excited to know that Mesa Turnip Driver version 25.2.0 revision 1 has dropped. It is up on GitHub. They say here in the description, based on the latest Mesa main source version 25.2.0 devel. And they say here it's compatible with Winlator Bionic through Adreno tools, settings, and wrapper graphics driver. I would say, as with all Turnip drivers, performance may vary from device to device, from game to game, and also from emulator to emulator that use them. So if you are using these, feel free to experiment and see what works and see what doesn't. Next up here, we're talking about Microsoft Game Pass and game modding and Grand Theft Auto 5. And it's being reported that FiveM is now supported on PC Game Pass. So if you are excited about that, if you have Microsoft Game Pass, or Xbox Game Pass rather, same thing. Anyways, if you have Xbox Game Pass, if you play Grand Theft Auto 5 and you like to mod, FiveM might be something you may want to pay attention to here. And speaking about exciting stuff, next up here we're talking about Doom. And if you like Doom, if you haven't played the 2016 version of Doom, you might want to know that it's on sale right now over on GOG, which means it's DRM free. It's on sale right now for 80% off. I mean, in Canada, I can get this game for about $5 overall. If you're in the States, it's probably even cheaper. And speaking about games, next up, we're talking about #Drive Rally. Now, we've talked about this one in the past. It's an indie game that I think looks really cool. It just launched version 1.0, so it's now out of early access, and it's currently 30% off. On top of that, it seems this game has already been cracked. So this information comes right from the official Drive Twitter account, and they say, "Oh no guys, we got hacked and packed by Fitgirl. If you enjoyed the packed version of any game, consider supporting your favorite indie devs the legit way." And I would say absolutely support indie devs, and the game is like less than $20 right now. It's probably worth picking up. I bought it, I haven't played it yet. I mean, over on Steam, it's got a very positive overall review score. And speaking about games, last up here, we're talking about, it's windy as all get out. Sorry for the noise. I'm doing my best. Anyways, speaking about games, we're talking about a Metroidvania bundle over on Humble Bundle. It's called Return to Metroidvania. And this bundle looks pretty awesome and looks to be a pretty good deal here. Wow, the cold air has suddenly come in too. I think we're going to get a huge storm. Anyways, Gaming on Linux, I'm going to try to rush through this. Gaming on Linux has a really good article because they took a look at every single game to see which one was Steam Deck compatible or Steam Deck verified and which one wasn't. So I'm going to drop a link to the Gaming on Linux article in the description below, and I think if you order through them, they get a bit of a kickback. but I think it's well deserved based on the research they did. So anyways, here there's a whole bunch of games. The games that are Steam Deck verified in this bundle are Grime, Berserk Boy, Shantae and the Seven Sirens, Monster Sanctuary, and Gato Roboto. The games that are Steam Deck playable, there's just one, and that's Astalon, Tears of the Earth. And then Steam Deck unsupported, there are 2 games here, Biogun and Islets. The entire 8-item bundle is less than 20 bucks overall, and I'd say that's a great deal for all of these games. Either way here, let me know your thoughts about this Metroidvania bundle in the comments below, and if you've ever played any of these games before. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. I saw woodpecker, but I wasn't able to get it on camera before it flew away. And the storm is coming in. I'm trying to rush through this. So we talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state. And I'm going to go run for cover.